Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. 2 Delta deaths in Trinidad and Tobago. Stick around to hear if any was vaccinated. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 13th October 2021. Details when we return.
Hubbard's big promotion is back. Live free for 1 year. Spend $50 or more in any Hubbard's department and receive a chance to win big prizes every month. Property or vehicle insurance for 1 year. Free internet, cable and data for 1 year. Free fuel for 1 year. Free cooking gas for 1 year. Free electricity for 1 year. Free drinks for 1 year. Extra cash account and the big free groceries for 1 year. Promotion runs from April 1st to September 30th, 2021. Live free for 1 year with Hubbard's in association with Solgas, Flow, Grenadian General Insurance, Carib Brewery, Coca-Cola, Grenada Bottling Company, Grenlec, Communal Cooperative Credit Union, Dutch Lady Milk, Promo, Danny and Supreme. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. On Sunday, the Ministry of Health in Trinidad and Tobago reported that the country had recorded 7 more cases of COVID-19 Delta variant and also confirmed what was the first death among 3 cases. It was followed by the announcement of a second death hours later. This development has raised concerns about the vaccination status of the 2 patients who died. But as TV6's Alicia Boucher reports, at this time, health officials are cautious about revealing too much.
Among the 7 Delta cases on Sunday, 3 were fully vaccinated, 1 partially vaccinated, and 3 were unvaccinated. It brought a total of Delta cases recorded in TNT today to 49. While at the time of the report, only 1 death had been recorded among this group, by Monday morning, that figure had increased to 2. Because of the statistics relating to the number of vaccinated cases, the question of whether any of the deaths occurred among vaccinated patients was raised with epidemiologist Dr. Avery Hines. He said both vaccinated people and unvaccinated people have contracted Delta.
So we have noted that both individuals with a full vaccination and those who have not been vaccinated, both sets of individuals have been affected thus far. Now, while we will not specify the vaccination status of a given individual, we are again going to reiterate that in general, across the board, the individuals who have passed on since vaccination has become available, the individuals who have passed on since the vaccine numbers and proportions have been rising, have been, in the vast majority, more than 95%, have been the unvaccinated individuals.
TV6 News sought to find out whether any of the 3 vaccinated cases in particular on Sunday were linked. Dr. Hines said that among the 17 cases recorded over the past weekend, there were 1 or 2 family correlations, but most were not associated with each other.
But there weren't direct links between the cases that you're asking about in this more recent grouping of the 7 Delta cases just spoken about.
We pressed further to ascertain if the country has had any Delta deaths among the vaccinated population.
We are avoiding specifying vaccine status of individuals given the small number that we currently are dealing with, and we're looking at patterns. So as a pattern establishes itself, we will most certainly share that information against the backdrop of protecting the individual patient confidentiality.
However, Dr. Hines reiterated that overall, there have been COVID-19 deaths among the vaccinated population in TNT.
Those who have been vaccinated and still have passed on from COVID-19 have been those who have had very serious comorbidities. They are those who were, in a lot of cases, already somewhat, for want of a better word, medically unstable or at higher risk, and those are factors that would also contribute to a higher risk of an adverse outcome, even with a vaccine on board.
Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
The number of women contracting COVID-19 has increased, with the highest number over a 1-month period being recorded for September. The Director of Women's Health, Dr. Adesh Surju Singh, is urging pregnant women to get vaccinated, noting that data show worrying signs among pregnant women who are not vaccinated. Alicia Boucher again has more in this report.
The Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta has released information stating that pregnant women who experience symptoms from contracting COVID-19 are more likely to end up in the intensive care unit and face a 70% increase in the risk of death. Here in TNT, 2 maternal deaths have been recorded to date among this group. As at August, the country has had 10,650 births for the year so far. Director of Women's Health, Dr. Adesh Surju Singh, has presented an update on the number of pregnant women who have contracted COVID-19 since March 2020.
The total number of cases now stands at 744 pregnant women who have been diagnosed with COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. In September, we saw the largest number of cases reported at 161. To date for October, we have 21 cases.
Health officials say the increase might be due to the fact that around September, there are generally more pregnant women in the country. Breastfeeding women have 2 options as it relates to vaccines: Sinopharm and Pfizer-BioNTech. Pregnant women who are in the 2nd and 3rd trimesters are only approved for Pfizer.
As of the 9th of October, 714 pregnant women who have so far received the first dose and 374 who have received the second dose of the Pfizer vaccine in pregnancy.
Dr. Surju Singh notes that worldwide, over 300,000 pregnant women have now been vaccinated, as it is a mechanism which not only helps the mother, but also her unborn baby, as antibodies developed by the mother are passed on to the fetus. This also occurs during breastfeeding. He is giving an assurance to pregnant women who might be contemplating getting vaccinated.
We are reassured by the safety of the vaccine. We have not seen any harm with respect to the vaccine. There are no different side effects than what is being seen in the general population.
Dr. Surju Singh is advising pregnant women to attend prenatal clinics and says vaccination remains voluntary and you do not need to be vaccinated to receive medical services, contrary to a misconception in the public domain. Alicia Boucher, TV6 News.
Is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley set out government's plans to set up safe zones as she insisted that mandating COVID-19 vaccines will not work for Barbados. More in this Barbados Today news item.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley made the announcement at a press conference at Larricourt this evening against the backdrop of growing calls from key groups in the country for her administration to mandate that particular workers take the vaccine before year-end.
Those guidance notes, which the Ministry of Health will issue very shortly, will make one fundamental point for us straight off. That they will be testing persons based on risk. And what do they consider as high-risk areas? Intensive care units, be it the medical intensive care unit, the surgical intensive care unit, accident and emergency, urgent care facilities, the 24-hour urgent care that we have in the polyclinic, the isolation facilities where the doctors and nurses and other staff, they are at risk because the person in isolation is already positive. Swabbing centers, nursing homes and outpatient clinics. The Ministry of Health has indicated that those are the high-risk areas And therefore, when you see the guidance note come out later this week, it is anticipated that unvaccinated persons, for example, in these high-risk areas will have to be tested at least once a week in order to ensure that we are taking care of those who we have to take care of. The truth is that persons who are vaccinated will have a less frequent regime.
The Prime Minister is confident that safe zones will work, and she believes it's in the country's best interests.
We're taking decisions that hold this country united, and that there are some who believe that their reality is the only reality. We have said no, we're going to have a safe zone. Safe zone means vaccinated or tested. Pick a choice, okay? And that's why we want to discuss more with the churches. We want to discuss more with the entertainment community. We want to discuss more with the workplaces. With respect to the healthcare institutions, those discussions have already started. Before I came on air this evening, I would have advised BAMP, I would have advised the Barbados Nurses Association, BW and UPW that this is what I was going to announce. Recognizing that in many instances, people would want us to be able to say, right, that or nothing. But this is not a that or nothing country.
There is an urgent plea for the government of Jamaica to increase the number of mental health professionals in light of a recent spike in violent incidents involving people suffering from mental illness. Shamila Pullin of TVJ News tells us more.
Calls for improvement in mental health services follow the recent incident in St. Catherine, where a mentally ill man attacked and killed a police officer. There was also another incident in St. Anne over the weekend in which a well-known laborer met a tragic end when he was beheaded by a mentally ill man in the town. While progress has been made to address issues relating to mental health, the demand for officials in mental health care continues.
What we need to do is to shift resources to community care. You maintain some functions, the Bellevue Hospital, but for those long-stay people who are stable and really homeless who need and less intensive community care, these people, we need to develop more of these services at the community level.
Head of Mental Health Policy at the University of the West Indies, Professor Wendell Abel believes the resources needed to address the mental health crisis in Jamaica were severely challenged last year due to the impact of COVID-19.
Pensioners react to intended increase in benefits payments in the Bahamas. Matthew Moxie of Eyewitness News Bahamas reports.
Prices are climbing everywhere, and for pensioners who were already hit hardest by the pandemic, the rising cost of living is squeezing their budgets even further. But following an announcement by the Davis administration in the speech from the throne delivered on Wednesday, taxpayers are hailing the intended increase in pension as an answered prayer.
I think it's an excellent idea. You know, what we are going through right now, the cost of living, is going up so sky high.
What some people is getting now, when you go in the food store, you can't buy nothing.
It would help, with prices increasing, everything, is more expensive. It would really help.
It helps you to eat, drink, and take care of yourself.
Lower income earners have been disproportionately affected by economic hardship brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, with many losing their jobs in sectors that typically pay lower wages, which is why some say this increase is needed now more than ever.
That might be the only income that is in the home, that is taking care of family.
A change in government and a ceremonious speech from the throne, however, are not enough to dispel the fears of Fidelity CEO Gowan Bow, who pointed out that there was no timeline given on this promise.
In reality, the country needs a long-term, generational plan that administrations that come in, and we have a start of parliament, can identify the elements of the plan they are seeking to move forward during their time in office, as opposed to attempting to, what I'm going to say, appease the populace by things that people want to see done.
And with an over $10 billion debt that is expected to rise, Bo says the government must take a realist approach to matters like these.
I think we are being overly optimistic if we think we will grow our way out of it solely, because our growth rates, even pre-pandemic, were not exponential. So it is going to mean that we have some very significant trade-off decisions to make.
Matthew Moxie, Eyewitness News.
Welcome to the all-new CBS Pro Store. We'll be introducing... Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world, and you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket, and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.